I am so glad to be back. This week on the PowerPLAY Show, he's already an accomplished artist. Anthony Jubaa Richardson, or Jubaa as he likes to be called, is a singer, songwriter, pianist, composer, record producer, and philanthropist. And he's just getting started. My conversation with multi-award-winning artist Jubaa coming up next on the PowerPLAY Show.
From the studios at Hull Bay Productions, this is Season 4 of the PowerPLAY Show.
Welcome to the PowerPLAY Show. I'm Tonya McGrath. From as long as he can remember, Jubaa was in love with music. He attended the Dr. Phillips High School's Visual and Performing Arts program, where he achieved numerous academic and musical distinctions. And his accomplishments continued through Belmont University and the esteemed Berklee College of Music. Jubaa is a singer, songwriter, pianist, composer, and record producer whose work culminated in the highly competitive Disney Dreamers Academy, where he won top honors as Disney Dreamers Academy Dreamer of the Year, and the Neo, that guy, Entertainment Award, where he earned an internship with the Grammy Award-winning artist. But there's more to this very talented young man. Jubaa also makes time for others through initiatives like his One Beat Away Foundation, which provides music therapy for dementia patients, and we'll get into that, and provides financial access and support for underprivileged students who have a desire to learn music in all its form. Today, Jubaa is here to talk about his music, his work, and his new single, Just Slide. Anthony Jubaa Richardson, or Jubaa, welcome to the PowerPLAY Show.
How we doing? What's going on?
Sorry, I had to government name you. Your mom would appreciate that, but we'll call you Jubaa because that is the name that you go by. So, hey, you are doing it. I'm so excited to have you here. I want to start off with you just telling me about your latest single, Slide, which we'll play later on in the show. But what's the story behind this song?
So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for bringing me on the podcast. This is really exciting for me, and I'm glad that, you're out here taking a shot on me, bringing me on, and being able to showcase my talent and my musicianship. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. In regards to your question about Slide, some of my inspiration about that song, it's a lot. I tend to get a lot deeper than people really understand with my music. So I even went into a little bit about this on my TikTok. The basis about that song is how I had a very, very close friend that I loved dearly. But it was fairly evident that later on down the road that I had that person up here and they kind of had me down here. And I didn't realize that until it was much, much too late. So eventually, I got to the point where I was satisfied enough in myself to really realize that, hey, if somebody's not giving you that same amount of energy and effort, you really don't need them. And so I started writing and I started creating this song. And, a lot of the time, some of my friends were using lingo, to slide up out of there, bro. Wait, say that again? Just slide up out there. You don't need that. I said, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
I got in the studio, I make music in my bedroom. And so, I got to producing some, inspiration, production wise, just from all the most talented artists, around there, from obviously Neo, Usher and from Chris Brown, but it goes to every single genre because me growing up in a performing arts school environment, I was saturated and surrounded by all different genres of music. So once I started producing, and it all just clicked. It all just came together. And I wanted to make an upbeat, up-tempo song kind of celebrating the fact that, hey, I'm finally over this, realizing that, this person had me all the way up here and they didn't treat me the way that I treated them. I'm kind of celebrating, up tempo. I'm happy. and kind of petty, like, I ain't rock with you anyways. So it's kind of like, I just wanted to kind of switch it up, because some of my music back, it was like a little bit slower tempoed. So, and I'm glad I was really proud with the way it came out. And I fell in love with the project. And it took me actually around 3 years to get to the point where I wanted it to be released at. And
Wow.
Here it is.
Wow, I didn't realize it can sometimes take that long. I'm a filmmaker, so 3 years, 4 years working on a film is a normal thing. But wow, so the song has been kind of percolating and massaging and doing all your wonderful musician tricks to it. I wanted to talk about because I've been playing the song all morning and love it. Your voice, you're kind of bringing back a smooth R&B genre with this single, and which I think it's amazing. Is that kind of like your sweet spot? Like, what is your most, I guess, favorite type of music to produce?
See, like that, I wish I could tell you because when I have to get into like a zone, and I usually gather ideas from things that I hear. And so when people ask me what kind of artist I am, I usually just tell them, well, I'm a musician, because I have straight up rap music that I can rap to that have like, hip hop beats and stuff like that. Or I have typical, kind of R&B music, like you just said. I have EDM house music. I am all over the place. So like, humbly and respectfully, I think to limit myself by calling me just a specific genre of an artist wouldn't be kind of fair, because I jump around all over the place because I'm just an all-around music lover. I don't try to limit myself to a specific genre or a specific niche. I try to incorporate pieces and bits from everywhere, because you can always learn from different pieces of music. For example, I went traveling over to the UK not too long ago, and I was listening to an 80s synthwave album, and now I'm making 80s synthwave music. I made 2 songs recently that are 80s influenced, and it's
Wow.
I'm all over the place, but in a good way, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, people eventually can like kind of see like, oh man, like, he can really, pull from anywhere out the hat. So
Yeah. You're keeping yourself open. You're not narrowing your musicianship at all. You're keeping yourself open. That's amazing. Who are the artists that you feel best capture like your style of musicianship?
So I really caught fire, like internally, like, getting my groove right after the Neo internship. Because right beforehand, I was making music, but by no means did I know what I was doing. I was just kind of like in my bedroom. I could make beats. I was always a very spontaneous person when it came to music. You put a piano in front of me, I can just like, play without anything, like just kind of like freestyle, what my mother would call it. And so that really helped when I would produce. But when it came to, songs and layering songs and vocals and background vocals, I didn't have all that yet until I got that opportunity from Disney, which we'll most likely get into later. But Neo was like, I listened to him growing up. And then I was able to sit there in the studio environment for about 18, 19 hours. So like, it was a long day, but it was an amazing day. And I literally just sat there and watched and absorbed, and like I was a sponge. And I was the world's biggest sponge. There was nothing but water. I was just soaking it all in. So I would definitely say like Neo, but then you have like there's this amazing artist. His name is Jacob Collier, and he breaks music down into the most intricate, microscopic levels. It's insane, from like harmonies and different kinds of things. He throws things into music that if you weren't diving deep into like theory and like it will just fly over your head, but it just sounds amazing. There's so many small different things that he puts into music that just make a really great cohesive project sound so much fuller than the average project. And even like that song Slide was like Chris Brown influenced. I have like The Weeknd influences. I have Drake influences. I have just so many. It honestly depends on who I'm listening to for that week.
Yeah.
That's how I get a lot of my influences from different people. But it's more than just like the music. A lot of the time, it's the story behind the music. So like, even though my music doesn't sound anything like Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole, I get influences from their storytelling and how they portray their music and how they portray their lyrics. I when I listen to their songs, there's not a single bar, there's not a single lyric in their song that I can just like, okay. Every lyric in their songs just consistently has my jaw dropped. So like I try not to have a dull moment in any of my music. So like inspiration from everybody, even if it's the smallest bit and piece from that artist, I just all kinds of inspiration just flood into mine.
And you named some of my favorite artists just even talking about that. So I'm excited. I feel like I'm on the right page. I want to kind of get some of your, you don't have to name names, but, you're having a bad day. You get home. Mm-hmm. Who are you turning on when you walk in the door? Who just kind of just shifts your energy just like that?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. It kind of, man, I almost gotta like pull up my playlist. Like I love the old, and I'm not necessarily old music, but music I listened to growing up, right? So I'd say like Justin Timberlake never fails me, or like Justin Timberlake is like the first that come to mind. I'd say Drake also comes to mind as well. There's this one song called No Fear by DJ Loaf that's been like literally in my head for almost 3 months now. That definition of that song is like, hey, look, keep going, move your feet, don't give up, So that's definitely a song that comes to mind because it's a literal pick-me-up song. It's stuff like that. It also depends on like what I'm feeling. So like sometimes I'll listen to music for the production, sometimes I'll listen more for the lyrics, so there's like there's layers to me with this music stuff, man.
I think for me my go-to is Bob Marley, because that's something that I grew up with, and just being able to just like kind of just sit back and again, for me, I'm like lyrics. I get attracted to the lyrics, to the words, because I'm a writer. So that's kind of what I don't play any instruments. Couldn't hold a note to save my breath, but he's my go-to. And I don't have a lot of bad days, but yeah,
we're bound to hit eventually,
So we're going to take a quick break right now. More with recording artist Jubaa. When we continue, you're listening to the PowerPLAY Show. Hi, I'm Tonya McGrath, producer and director of the upcoming film documentary, More Than Our Skin. When I started developing this film, it was about the lives of 5 women living with the autoimmune disease vitiligo. The disease was a construct in which I would come to understand what living with their condition was like for each of them. But after I met these extraordinary women, something happened. They invited me into their homes and their worlds, shared their peaks and valleys, then revealed to me how they found their true purpose. Getting to know these women, it soon became apparent, was more than their personal stories and hardships. It was discovering their journeys of what truly matters most. Their beauty isn't defined by skin creams or makeup or how the world defines them.
I have come a long way. I've learned to accept what I have.
I don't know everybody's story, but some things that you've been through that were so rough and that you didn't think you were gonna make it.
I didn't know where the vitiligo was going and how far it was gonna go.
It's all for a purpose. The purpose that I feel is to help somebody else.
That's why I have my spots. That's why he did it. Because nothing's an accident.
I invite you to visit More Than Earth Skin and learn about the stories of these 5 amazing women, the production crew behind the making of this film, and to consider making a donation to help this film to its completion. Our goal is simple. We want the audience, you, to see what's behind the skin and know that you can make a difference now by seeing, hearing, and loving the person behind their spots. I know I have, and I hope you will too. We're back with my guest, Jubaa. How was music introduced to you as a child?
All right, I'm gonna get a little older with this one, right? So my mom always told me that she would just like play classical music for me when I was in the womb. She would tell me this all the time, and she was just like, she always said, God told me there was gonna be something about you. Just didn't know what it was. And I mean, my mom was a music lover. My mom sang in churches when she was younger. She did like plays and theater. So I assume it was only natural that she, would play music for me. And then there's just this one picture I remember of me on this little rinky-dink play keyboard with me and my bunch of hair. I wish I could find the picture. But every time I tell people, music has been in my life literally 25/8, 365 days a year, 366 on leap years, like all the time. And eventually, once I was old enough to start, doing things musically, I don't remember the year I picked up piano. I think it was like 6 or 7, something like that. I started with piano. I hated it. I hated it. I really did. It was the most excruciating, I really did not like it. But I can't complain about. I'm very glad I did it, because that's the basis of me becoming the kind of music producer that I am right now. It's kind of crazy how a lot of the things that we didn't like growing up, a lot of the things that our parents made us do, Mama knew this. I can't say she didn't. That really, really helps me. And then I started singing in church with mom and stuff like that every once in a while. And then once I got to middle school, elementary school, I was a band kid. And then once I got to middle school, I was in band for 2 days. And then I kid you not, I remember this like it was yesterday. I quit band because the kids behind me were so annoying, and I went to choir. Now, mind you, I'm a people person, and I love people, and I have jokes. I can joke with the best of them, but it takes a lot to get on my, especially as a kid, because I was so
Wow.
I know. I immediately went to choir, and that was the best decision I ever made in my life, because I already knew how to play piano, and I could read music, and I was a singer. And my middle school teacher, her name is Rhea Parksmith. I love her to death. Shout out to her. She still checks up on me to this day. Pushed me like I don't know what. Because it's very rare for a 6th grader to come in having all of those qualities, knowing how to read music, how to play piano, and how to sing. And she knew she had something. She didn't know anything about that, but she pushed me like I don't know what. She was entering me in all kinds of competitions, statewide competitions by 7th grade. something called Allstate, which is when you apply to like not the insurance company. Shout out to them though. It's a statewide competition where they give you music. Well, first you do a musicianship test, so you take a written test, and then you have to sight read, which is where they put random notes in front of you that you've never seen before, and you have to sing correctly with the correct timing. It can be challenging for some people, and that was my first year doing it. So I made it to like the treble choir. You know, the second year she made me audition for the the next step up, which was the mixed choir in the 8th grade year. And that year I actually beat out every single male auditioner for solo. And she knew ahead of time, like she pushed me like I don't know what. And then that got me to my high school opportunities because she helped me realize that like performing arts is in my future. So my parents took the sacrifice, and they were driving me 45 minutes a day in the mornings, wake me up at 4:00 in the morning to get me to school. Across all that, like at Dr. Phillips High School, it was a drive for us, but it was performing arts high school, and that was another one of the single best decisions to ever happen. I had my parents' full support when I was.
That was actually my next question to you. It's so funny that you just went into that, because we know it takes a village, but with something that demands so much of your time, I was wondering how your folks, manage that along with everything else in their lives. But it really seems like you had a village behind you.
But by no means were by all means, my parents were very, very supportive, because ironically, like, I didn't even want to, they were there to witness it the whole way, like, it's not like I was just coming home and be like, hey mom, I got a solo, and they weren't there to see it. Or like, hey mom, I did this, know about it. No, like, I'm a very receipts, factual person, So when I bring something to somebody, or like something that I did, like, it would help for me, if somebody was telling me something, for them to have like some sort of proof. My parents, like my mother, was there every step of the way. She was very involved in my life, extracurricularly. She was basically everybody else's mom too. Everybody loved her. Everybody basically called her mom.
Everyone loves your mom. I love your mom. Yes. She
was a choir mom. She was part of like the parental leadership when I got to high school and everything like that. She was chaperoning for all of my stuff. So she was there to see it. And like, if my kid was there, doing all this kind of stuff, once again, really humbly doing the stuff that I was doing, but I was there to see it, I would have no choice but to support my child, like, it's one thing if, you're not there to see it, or like, if you don't see it, like, or you just think, no, she physically, saw all that. And even so, like, once I got, past high school, once I got to the NEO internship thing, I was making music to prepare for it. And once we made the song, I actually I produced the track that Neo and I sang on. Also my friend Mary, she was on the track. But when we played it for everybody who was there, because my mother and Mary's mother and everybody else, they kind of gave us some breathing room to work. So when they came back and played the song, my mother came back and was like, I didn't know you could produce like that. I thought that was one of Neo's just like unreleased songs. So, and she had full support but even then, like, that was like, yeah, if you had any doubt that, I didn't, if you had any doubt, and I always believed in you, but like, she was telling me you're gonna make it, it's like, she's always had full faith in your boy. And I just loved it. Like, mom's always been like my biggest fan. She always will be. It's mom.
It is mom. Moms are always the biggest ones. I mentioned in your intro, you were awarded, speaking about your experience with Neo, you were awarded Dreamer of the Year from the very highly competitive Disney Dreamers Academy. And of course, your internship with Grammy winning artist Neo. just talk about that whole experience, because like, how did it get from, I imagine thousands of people to you being Dreamer of the Year?
It was life-changing. It was crazy. And like every time, because we got a lot of media coverage and we got this question a lot. And me and my mother would always start out with the same answer, because it's exactly what happened. It was a complete shot in the dark. We applied and we're just like, all right, if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. Like that's literally what it was, because you said it yourself. It was 12,000 applicants across the country singled down to 100. And then those 100 would go to Epcot, all expense paid workshop trip to saturate yourself with people within your respective industry to help you achieve your dreams, right? So we got something in the mail, and then my dad came home, brought something in. The mom was like, "Did you apply for a job at Disney?" Mom was like, "No." And so she opened the mail, whatever, and then she came into my room, and then she was like, "You got in." And I'm like, "To what?" Because I forgot. For what? There's like the Disney Dreamers. They're like, "Oh, for real?" And she's like, "Yeah." And we didn't know what was gonna come from it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, "All right, let's just go. We'll see how it is. It can be really great." And then my dad, once again, they were talking in their room, and he was saying, "I've got a good feeling about this upcoming little trip that you guys are doing. I don't know what it is, but I've got a good feeling about it." And he was telling Mom, make sure he knows that, make sure he knows not to take this lightly.
Mm.
So, I was kind of, briefed coming in. I had some stuff prepared, and we were Orlando, based. We live in Orlando, and it was housed at Epcot, which is in Orlando. So we got like the hometown kid coverage. It was really cool. But then periodically, throughout the experience, throughout the workshop, this was 5 days over the course of spring break, by the way. They saturated you with so say you were into like costume design. Ruth E. Carter, the costume designer for Black Panther, and the whole Black Panther trilogy. She was one of my mentors. Amazing woman. Amazing.
Wow.
Like, she brought home, I think she got an Oscar for her costume design.
She did. Yep.
She amazing. I met Trevor Jackson, Chloe and Halle, J.C. McCrary, who was the voice actor for Baby Simba on Lion King. There's so many amazing people. And they had, by the way, it was also run by Steve Harvey and Essence Magazine, combined with, the efforts with Disney and Epcot. So it was a very well-run workshop. And I was just, being me. I was being very supportive to all of my peers. I was loving to all of my peers. I was asking questions. I was, being the enthusiastic, joker that you see right now, cracking jokes, interacting with people. And the media coverage also loved it. So I was a fan. I was a favorite amongst the, the news reporters.
Yeah.
There. And so when my local news reporter was there, they were like, "You want to keep an eye on that kid," pointing at me. And I was like, I was like, I didn't know that would come back and help me. So they had a deep dive workshop, which is where I met my good friend Mary, who they also flew out to Los Angeles to record with me and Neo. Good Morning America walked in to the deep dive, and that same producer who said, "You want to keep an eye on that kid," directed them in my direction, saying, "You want that kid over there."
Wow.
Man. That was my first time on Good Morning America. And 2 times for that little weekend. The Disney Dreamer of the Year award was a vote, actually. So I was voted upon by my faculty and staff, and as well as my peers. So
that's awesome.
The staff see something in me, but my fellow peers did as well. And that was the most humbling part about it. That they really saw something in me. They saw me as a leader. They saw me as, somebody that they felt comfortable putting on stage and handing that award. Now, they offered a bunch of scholarships. And they said that there were no more. And I was very content with my little, mousker, they called it. And they said, but wait, we have one more. And I once I pitched my nonprofit organization, by the way, One Beat Away, because that was a big part of my Disney Dreamers Academy. That was most likely the reason why I was selected, because of my ambitious dreams with my nonprofit organization, wanting to use both as a catalyst to help uphold both parts of my life, philanthropy and artistry. So eventually I want to do like a music festival that's donation incentive, and everything will go towards a specific cause, whether it's cancer research or HIV research or something like that. Like, I had all of these ideas that I was pitching to them. And so one time they were like, well, we got to know if you can perform, so you're gonna have to sing for us. So I sang in front of the entire basically everybody that was there at the academy. And there was this lady, her name was Africa, and she was up. It was like a Shark Tank pitch. So she was like, I loved what you did, blah, 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 blah. Great work on this. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. And afterwards she approached me and she was like, hey, do you have any music or anything that you can send me or blah, 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 blah. And I was like, not on me, but let me run back to my room. So I ran back to my room. I'm like, Mom, this lady wants to hear my music. I sent her, some stuff. And it was that lady that walked up on stage for the final internship. And I was like, Mom, no way. I'm like, Mom, that's the lady. What's she doing? I'm like, Mom, what's she doing? Mom, what's she doing? And I saw videos of like artists and stuff from like Beyonce and blah, 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 like Rihanna. And then all of a sudden, Neo popped up on screen and started talking. I said, Mom, stop it. And then once they said my name, I walked on stage and I started crying. There's video evidence. It was all over the news. The whole country caught me in 4K bawling my eyes out on stage. And it was life-changing, to say the least.
Yeah, something that significant will make you cry. I've been there. I've been up on the stage crying myself. I totally get it. We're going to take another quick break, more with Jubaa. When we return, you're listening to the PowerPLAY Show. Hi, I'm Tonya McGrath, producer and director of the upcoming film project, More Than Our Skin. I decided to make this film because I saw a need to let the stories of those living with vitiligo be heard. That it's more than the spots you see. It's the feelings, the depression, the community, and the lives of those impacted by an autoimmune disease with no known cure. More Than Our Skin plans to tell the stories of a diverse cast of people who are willing to share their journeys, many for the first time, as they make positive steps to bring understanding, inclusivity, and acceptance to this widely misunderstood disease. It is my hope that this film will change lives, not just for those with vitiligo, but for the wider audience who will understand once and for all that it's more than our skin. Thank you. We're back with my guest, Jubaa. Slide is your latest single, and now it's time for our audience to hear it. I absolutely love it. I told you I've been listening to all morning, but I'd like for you to introduce your song.
All right. So Slide, it's one of my favorites. It's been in the works for a few years now. A little bit about me as an artist. I am a complete, solo artist. So I songwrite, I produce, I sing, I mix and master all of my own music. So that's why it probably took a little longer than, most artists would. I don't have a team. I'm the only person who's doing all this stuff. So it takes a little longer. And sometimes, nerves get to you. Sometimes I get a little insecure about like, oh man, this mix doesn't sound as good as I want it to. But I finally realized that I'm only going to be as good as I am right now. And if I keep delaying to when I get better, it's never going to come out. So I just said, I'm going to drop it. And I dropped it. And I'm very happy I did. I'm very proud of it. This is one of my babies. It's one of my upbeat, up-tempo, just dance, cruise with the windows down. Whatever you want to do, this is a song for any situation. I love this song to death. A lot of my friends love it. Some of my friends were like, they've been waiting for this song to drop for a while. So I'm very glad I finally did it. I hope you all enjoy My Baby called Slide by yours truly. My name is Jubaa. Thank you so much.
Now it's too late for apologies, and I know you don't wanna bother me. Now you're switching your ideology, and now you can't help but to follow me. You're just a girl I used to love, and by love I meant we had a fling. Everything got in between us. I should've known you won't respect a thing. Someone that I used to know, and you're something that I'll never miss. Don't know what you're complaining for. As far as I'm concerned, you don't exist. Yeah, now I guarantee, if you live my life as drama free, you only look for yourself. Don't give a damn how I felt. Receive, and you got nothing to say, and I don't fall with you anyway. So I'ma go ahead and just slide, 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 yeah. We'll never be found all by yourself, so you went and put me all through hell. Things for him you wouldn't do for me. You never love me, baby, I can tell. It seems our love keeps going around and stops right on cue. Keep playing with too many hearts and always back to you. I'll just replace you with the next line. I'm laughing now as you decline and you resign. Get back in line, babe. Now I guarantee, if you live my life as drama free, you only love for yourself. Don't give a damn how I felt. And I just can't believe, but baby girl, you know I keep receipts. And you got nothing to say, and I don't fall with you anyway. So I'ma go ahead and just slide, 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 yeah. Just slide, 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 yeah.
Well, again, absolutely amazing. How can our audience find your music?
All right. So I am on all major streaming platforms, as well as YouTube. So Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube. My name is Jubaa, Jubaa. I also released a 13-song solo album earlier on in the year. I believe I released it on February 10th, right before Valentine's Day. It's a little heartbreaker. So, for all of you, who was going through it like I was, you're not alone. I put out a little emotional heart tug out there right before Valentine's Day. That one was another very, very big piece of, my artistry, like finally being able to say that I made a solo album. It's not perfect, but nothing I do ever will be. We are human. And like I said previously, at that point where I was, I was only going to be as good as I was then. And that's the beautiful thing about releasing music throughout time, especially when you're working, people get to see the growth. And that's also something that I've noticed and something that I'm really appreciating. I'm appreciating the journey as much as I just want to Grammys right now. It's not going to work like that. So I might as well appreciate the journey on the way and truly seeing how far I've come from, I believe I released my first little project, which was Noir. It was a little 4-song EP back in 2019, up to Love Game Season, which was the album I released early 2023, February 10th. And now Slide, the song I released, I believe 2 weeks ago. So yeah, that's my biggest, pusher, heart pumper. Jubaa, Jubaa, on all major streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you stream music, it's probably there. So, I'd appreciate a little bit of the streams, man. I'm trying to get my numbers up a little bit. No, I'm just joking.
Well, I'm certainly a subscriber and a follower. What's next for you, Jubaa?
So, like I said, I was, in my own head a little bit about like my music and, wanting to release. So I am, and I'm stating this now so I can hold myself to it. I am going to release a single every 4 to 6 weeks. I had a second album already finished, right? But just me being, I was doing some research, and if you don't have a following, which I do, like I have people that listen. I'm not saying I don't, but like I'm talking like major, like if you have like hundreds of thousands of listeners, those are when albums really start to do work. And if you don't have that kind of following, essentially you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, while making albums are fun and albums are cool and everybody loves a good album, statistically, with the numbers that I have currently, an album wouldn't be the smartest thing for me to release. So I am going to just break it up and just release it single by single by single, so I can have a consistent workflow and content flow, as well as maybe have time in between to make content for each song, and who knows, maybe it can really help me. So I have songs lined up. Like I mentioned previously, the 80s synthwave songs, those were on there. I've got house EDM songs, those are on there. And you should really be able to see the growth from where I started to where I am now, even between the two, because technically, this is an album. It's just released like a new season of your favorite show.
Yeah, right.
They release bit by bit by bit. Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to see the growth from even February to now. I made a lot of music. I made another 11 songs in 2 months. But like it was, yeah, that's what's next for me. And I'm insanely excited. I'm giving myself deadlines. I'm holding myself to those deadlines. And I really want to uphold my word, because essentially, your word is what you are. If you say you're going to do something, you should do it. So I am going to be releasing a single every 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm going to do my best to promote it and, find a way to get myself out there. And hopefully this is, hopefully one of those songs can catch fire, and hopefully I can catch the break that I need. But either way, I'm still going to keep grinding. I'm still going to keep dedicating myself dedicating myself to music, to my family, because my family are also my biggest supporters. And if I'm not putting 100% into this, I'm doing my family as well as myself a disservice, because they are also still making sacrifices to make sure that I'm able to pursue the dream that I have. And they're also pursuing the dream that I have. I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am without them. So that's the ultimate reason why I have to keep going. And I'm going to find a way.
I know you will. Jubaa, thank you so much for being a guest on the PowerPLAY Show. You are inspiring. Your energy is just absolutely electric. And, go out there, follow Jubaa. He will put all the information on our website as well, link to all of his outlets. Thank you so much, and nothing but the best of success for you. I'm going to be following you until you're up on that Grammy stage, so you don't have to worry about that. Prayers are going forward.
Wait, I forgot social media. That's also kind of important.
Yes.
If you find me on Instagram, my Instagram is ii.jubaa, Jubaa. II. So Jubaa. If you want to find me on TikTok, which I make sometimes really funny skits, sometimes I just showcase my music, it is just Jubaa, Spotify. So yeah, if you want to find me on social media, there you are, there you have it. Sometimes I post, some really cool music stuff. Maybe I'll find what I discover, if there's a new trick that I learned with my dog, which is like, what we use to make music. Or if I make a really cool song that I want to showcase, I'll put it out there too. So you get a little bit sneak peek what's going on behind the scenes there.
Love it. Love it all. Thank you again for being here. I just loved our conversation, and, the world is your oyster. Go get it.
Ma'am.
Now it's too late for apologies, and I know you don't want to bother me.
Remember, you can listen to past episodes of the PowerPLAY Show wherever you subscribe to podcasts, including iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, and Amazon Music. You can also watch our interviews on YouTube. Simply search the Hope Bay Productions Media channel and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And as always, we air on BroncoEyeRadio.com each Saturday at 5 p.m. So be sure to tune into the PowerPLAY Show on Thursdays for a new episode wherever you subscribe to podcasts, or on our YouTube channel at Hope Bay Productions Media channel, or simply visit thepowerplayshow.com. Until then, I'm Tonya McGrath, and thank you for tuning in.